After my wife's funeral, I returned home only to find my keys no longer worked. To my shock, my coworkers were drinking in my living room. One of them raised a glass and said, "To her freedom." I froze as they all laughed. Days later, I found out why they celebrated after my wife passed. I came home from her funeral and found my coworkers drinking in my living room. One of them toasted her freedom. I thought they meant cancer. Days later, I learned it was about me. She had been planning to leave me for one of them. Now I don't know what to do with all this grief and betrayal. Me, why are you here? Kent, my boss grinning. Glass raised to her freedom, right? Me, freedom from what? Kent, laughs you man. The worst moments in life don't arrive like storms, no thunder or warning. Sometimes they sneak in quietly, disguised as normal days. Sometimes they show up wearing suits and black dresses, right after you bury someone you thought loved you. That's what happened to me. My name's Alan. I'm 48 years old, from Charlottesville, Virginia. Until recently, I was married to Marla, who passed away from pancreatic cancer just 2 months ago. We'd been together since our mid-20s, married nearly 23 years. She died quietly in her sleep, 2 weeks after her final hospital stay. We held a small funeral, family, a few friends, some coworkers. Then I drove home, alone. The house was supposed to be empty, quiet. Instead, I found my coworkers, already inside. Music was playing. People were laughing. Someone was grilling out back. It wasn't a wake. It wasn't a remembrance. It was a party. I stood on the porch for what felt like a full minute before I even turned the handle. When it didn't open, I tried my keys. None worked. I thought I'd lost my mind. Then Bryce, one of our junior architects, opened the door holding a red cup. "Alan," he said, grinning like it was his birthday. "Man, you made it." I didn't say anything. I just stepped in, stunned, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. I could smell alcohol, burgers, someone was vaping near the back door. I saw Kent, my supervisor, sitting in the recliner I bought. He had his feet up on the ottoman Marla used when her legs ached from chemo. He raised a glass. "To her freedom," he said. Laughter. That was when I turned around and left. I didn't say a word. I drove. No destination. Just kept going. Ended up parked outside a gas station 20 miles away, engine running, hands shaking. I sat there for 3 hours. The next few days were a blur. I stayed at a cheap motel on the edge of town. I couldn't go back to the house. Didn't know if I even could. I called a locksmith, who told me the locks had legally been changed by someone listed as executor of the estate. That someone was Kent. It was the first of many gut punches. Over the next few days, I pieced together the truth, slowly, painfully. It started with a visit to the firm to grab my things. My access card didn't work anymore. My email was deactivated. Nobody would meet my eyes. Finally, Amber, someone from HR who I'd shared a few lunches with, pulled me aside. "I thought you knew," she said softly. "Knew what?" "That Marla and Kent, they were seeing each other. Before she got sick." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My brain just shut off. Amber looked genuinely sorry, like someone telling a friend their dog had run away. It had been going on for a while. "We all kind of assumed she'd leave you. But then when she got diagnosed." She didn't finish the sentence. I drove back to the motel, puked in the bathroom, sat on the floor with the lights off for the rest of the night. A few days later, I retrieved Marla's laptop from the trunk of my car. It was covered in dust and still had a post-it note on it with her hospice nurse's number. I hesitated to open it, but I did. There were emails, dozens of them. Marla to Kent, Kent to Marla. Long threads filled with flirtation, resentment, sarcasm, complaints about me, about how Alan never listens or he thinks kindness is putting gas in my car. They were planning to move in together. She was researching apartments in Georgetown, places to start over. Then came the silence. The emails stopped abruptly 2 days after her biopsy confirmed cancer. From that moment on, it was like she hit pause. No more Kent. No more divorce plans. It was just me and her, or what was left of us. That broke me worse than anything, because that meant she chose to die with me, even if she no longer loved me. Out of guilt, pity, or obligation. I don't know, but she stayed. Now I live in a studio apartment in Staunton, above a bakery run by an older woman named Sylvia. I help her with deliveries. I sleep on a futon. I haven't talked to anyone from my old life in weeks. I'm writing this here because I don't know what to do with all of this. The grief, the betrayal, the complete appending of my reality. I know she cheated. I knew she was leaving. But I also know she chose to stay in the end, and that messes me up. Was I a bad husband? Was I blind? Did she regret not leaving? Or did she regret staying? I don't even know what I'm mourning anymore. Her death, or the version of our life I thought we had. For a while, I told myself none of it mattered. That the only thing I should carry forward was the love we once shared, not the ugly ending. Maybe everyone is complicated and messy and nobody dies clean. Maybe her last choice, to stay, was her way of apologizing. But no matter how many times I repeat that in my head, it doesn't settle. The thing that gnaws at me the most isn't even the affair. I know that sounds strange. It's them. The people I worked beside every single day. The people who came to our holiday parties, drank our wine, laughed with us in the kitchen. They knew. They knew. And they smiled in my face for months. Bryce helped me move a couch once when Marla's back was acting up. He saw her dying on that very couch a year later. And then he had the audacity to stand in my living room after her funeral, drinking like he belonged there. Reggie once told me how much he admired my marriage. How you and Marla just seemed to get it. I wonder now if he was mocking me, or if he was clueless too. Doesn't matter, really. He still drank my scotch after my wife's funeral. And Kent, I don't even know where to start. Kent mentored me, brought me in as a junior years ago, said I had an eye for grounding modernism in warmth. He used to slap my back and tell me I made clients feel something. I guess he had an eye for warm homes too, the kind he could rip apart from the inside while smiling through it. I tried confronting him once, weeks after it all came out. I found his number still in my phone, stared at it for maybe an hour, then called. He answered on the second ring. Alan, he said flat. I know, I told him. About you and her. Silence. No denial. No apology. She was leaving you. He finally said, like that excuse. It was over long before she got sick. Then he hung up. I didn't call again. There are some wounds that don't bleed. They just burn quietly under the skin, flaring up when you least expect them. That's how it's been for me. The grief sneaks up during the little moments. Folding laundry and finding one of her socks still caught in a sleeve. Hearing a song she used to hum while cleaning. Even just reaching for the coffee beans and remembering how she used to grind them at 6 a.m. before I woke up. But then the betrayal creeps in and poisons those memories. Was she humming that song while texting Kent? Was she smiling at me at dinner while imagining him? And the house. God, the house. It's gone now. Legally sold under her name because she'd removed me from the deed a year before. I didn't even know. Apparently, it was part of her exit plan. She set up a trust, and Kent had power of attorney once she passed. Just like that, the locks were changed, the walls repainted, her things boxed up and taken somewhere I'll never see. They didn't even leave her fern on the porch. The one she babied for 10 summers. I don't know what they did with it. Probably tossed it. I kept a few things. A pair of her glasses. A sweater that still smells faintly like her shampoo. And her old planner, the kind with handwritten appointments and sticky notes. In it, I found a small, folded note she wrote in February, weeks before she died. It wasn't addressed to anyone. It simply said, I don't know how to undo the hurt I've caused. But I'm sorry. If I could do it over, I'd do it differently. I'd be braver, kinder, more honest. If you find this, please forgive me. I've read that note 100 times. I still don't know if it was for me, or for Kent, or maybe just something she wrote to herself. A confession with no witness. People on here say grief isn't linear, and they're right. Some days I think I've accepted it, like the worst storm has passed. Then something small drags me under again. The way my new apartment doesn't creak the same way at night. The fact that I don't have anyone to tell when I burn the toast. How I still roll over and expect her body heat to be there. She's gone. But so is the version of her I thought I knew. And in her place is this echo, not just of loss, but confusion. Of every, I love you, now sharpened by the possibility that it wasn't true, or at least not entirely. What haunts me isn't infidelity, or even Kent. It's the possibility that I was living a one-sided love, that she'd already left me emotionally long before the cancer came. And that the only reason I got those last few months with her was because her body gave out before her courage did. Or maybe staying was her courage. I don't know. I may never know. And that's the worst part. I've tried talking to a few people about all this, but it never feels right. My brother just said, at least she didn't leave you while alive. Like that was supposed to be comforting. Like dying with me instead of leaving me was some kind of gift. Sylvia, the woman who owns the bakery I rent above, is probably the only one who seems to get it. Not the details, but the weight. She's in her 60s and has been widowed twice. Once by illness, once by a drunk driver. She says grief is a lot like yeast. It rises when it wants, not when you expect it to. She never pries, but sometimes she'll leave me a cup of coffee with a note like, some things don't need fixing. They just need holding. I don't know how to hold this. I don't even know where to put the anger half the time. It comes out sideways. I've snapped at people for asking normal questions. I almost threw my phone across the room because a photo memory of Marla popped up. It was from our 15th anniversary. She was wearing that green dress she said made her feel expensive. We went to a little Italian place in the downtown mall, shared a bottle of red, and laughed the whole time. I looked at that photo for a long time, trying to see it, the lie. Was she already seeing Kent then? Was that smile already divided? That's the worst thing about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt, it rots your good memories. It makes you doubt your whole timeline. Like pulling a single thread and watching your entire past unravel in your hands. And yet, there were moments near the end that felt real. Like how she'd reach for my hand, even when she was too weak to speak. How she let me bathe her, dress her, brush her hair. She cried one night in hospice. Not from pain, but from fear. I don't want you to be alone, she said. And I believed her. I still believe her. So how do I square that with the version of her who'd written emails complaining that I was boring? Or the version who described our marriage as emotionally beige? How do you hold space for both? The woman who loved you while dying, and the woman who didn't love you while living? I started going to therapy, reluctantly. It was Sylvia who nudged me into it. She said, even a cracked cup can still hold water. But not for long. My therapist, Dr. Kraus, is a quiet man. Mid-50s, talks slowly, lets silences breathe. He doesn't give me answers. He just asks better questions than I do. Last week he asked me, what would you say to Marla if she walked through the door right now? I didn't answer right away. I still haven't. Because part of me wants to scream. To demand answers. To throw all the betrayal in her face and ask why. But another part of me, I think I just told her. Sit beside her. Ask if she was scared. If she knew how much I loved her, even when I was too tired to say it. Maybe both parts are true. Maybe that's what love looks like after betrayal. Not clean forgiveness or righteous anger, but a bleeding kind of grace. A love that limps but keeps walking. I don't think I'll ever get closure from Kent. I doubt he even feels guilt. People like him rarely do. And I'm not chasing revenge. The truth is, I could post every email, every screenshot, every timeline, and it wouldn't give me back what I lost. It wouldn't bring back the woman who used to write me post-it notes on my lunch napkins. It wouldn't unring the bell of "to her freedom." God, that phrase. It rattles around in my head like a cruel riddle. Sometimes I wonder what she would have said if she heard it. If she was watching somehow, standing invisible in the corner as Kent toasted to her escape. Would she have laughed too? Would she have wept? Or would she have walked away from all of us, ashamed? I want to believe she loved me at the end. I want to believe that those last whispered, I love yous, weren't guilt-laced performances. That when she asked me to play her favorite songs at night, it was because I was still the person she trusted most in the world. But then I remember the emails. The apartment listings. The draft of a goodbye letter she never gave me. I don't think I love him anymore, she wrote in one. He's kind, but he's not alive. I feel like I'm suffocating in a marriage that has forgotten how to breathe. I read that one a dozen times. I still don't understand what she meant. I thought we were fine. Not perfect, but stable. Warm. Like the kind of marriage that doesn't need fireworks because it has a campfire glow. Apparently, she wanted fireworks. So now I'm here. In a town I never meant to live in. Working part-time at a bakery. Trying to figure out how to live with two ghosts. The one who died, and the one I thought she was. I haven't touched her planner in weeks. It sits in my nightstand drawer, next to a half-empty bottle of melatonin I rarely take. Some nights, I still sleep with the TV on just to fill the space where her voice used to be. And every morning, I still make coffee for two. I pour hers out before I leave. I didn't even drink coffee before Marla. I was a tea guy. Still am, technically. I just pretend I like coffee now because her habits became mine. She used to say, the smell of coffee is a promise. It says, you'll be okay. I cling to that in the mornings, especially on the quiet ones. There's this moment right after sunrise when the world feels paused, like maybe, just maybe, it'll all make sense if I just wait a little longer. But it doesn't. Sometimes I imagine alternate versions of my life, like sliding doors. What if she had left me before the diagnosis? Would I have hated her more? Or would the clean break have spared me this dual grief, the loss and the betrayal tangled into one unbearable knot? I probably would have moved out of state. Maybe Montana. Somewhere open, where silence feels like company instead of punishment. But she didn't leave. She stayed, and she died in my arms. And now I carry both realities. The husband she planned to leave, and the man she clung to when her hands trembled too much to hold a spoon. It's hard to explain this kind of grief to people. It doesn't fit in sympathy cards. There's no neat category for widowed and betrayed. You get either casseroles or scandal, not both. I tried dating apps once, just to see. Downloaded one on a particularly lonely Tuesday night. Made a profile, uploaded the least haunted picture I could find, wrote something dry and safe like, recently relocated, trying to figure life out. I got a few likes. Even matched with a woman named Margot who raised goats and made her own soap. We chatted briefly. She was kind. Asked what brought me to Staunton. I stared at that question for 20 minutes and then unmatched her. What could I possibly say? Well, my dead wife was cheating on me with my boss, who now owns the house I paid for. And I'm living above a bakery wondering if the life I grieved even existed. Yeah, that'll go over great. Most days, I don't talk to anyone beyond Sylvia and a few customers. There's this older guy, Walter, who comes in every morning at 7:15 sharp and orders a cinnamon roll and black coffee. He always nods at me, says, "Good to see ya, Alan," like we're old friends. I don't know if he knows what I'm carrying. Maybe he's carrying something too. Sometimes I think everyone is. You start to notice things after you've been gutted like this. The way people linger a second longer when they look at their phones. The hollow way someone says, "I'm good," when asked how they're doing. The little sighs. The subtle pauses. We're all carrying stories that don't fit into polite conversation. And mine, Mine is a quiet scream I can't seem to let go of. I think about the house more than I'd like to admit. It's been repainted. Ken had it listed for sale less than a month after Marla passed. I found the listing online, polished photos, sleek staging, new landscaping. They even removed the old garden bed she loved. The ad called it a fresh start in a warm and welcoming neighborhood. That line made me laugh out loud. Fresh start. It wasn't even cold on the ground yet. I haven't driven by it. I won't. I don't want to see it without her. Without me. Without all the memories soaked into the walls like ghostly fingerprints. I imagine someone else living there now, hanging new curtains, putting up their photos, cooking their own Sunday dinners in that same kitchen where we danced once, drunk on cheap wine and 90s R&B. And I wonder, do those walls remember us? Do they whisper our names when it's quiet? I know that sounds ridiculous, but grief has a way of making you believe in things you never did before, like echoes and ghosts and parallel lives. Some days, I wish I could talk to her one more time. Not to ask why, not even to accuse, just to sit with her, breathe in the same air, ask her if she ever felt happy, if the good years were real, if I was real to her. Would she say yes? Would she cry? Would she lie again, just to spare me? There's no guidebook for this. No blueprint for what to do when your life shatters and your memories become suspect. I go through the motions now. Open the bakery in the mornings. Deliver orders when Sylvia needs the help. Read old books at night. Drink tea. Avoid the news. Stay off social media. But inside, I'm still unraveling. Still checking the planner for clues. Still folding laundry like it matters. Still waking up and reaching for a side of the bed that's not mine anymore. Still wondering if healing is even possible when the wound keeps changing shape. I spent a long time just existing. Not planning, not hoping, just breathing and surviving. But survival has a strange way of turning into clarity, especially when you stop waiting for closure from other people and start building your own. And that's when I decided I wasn't done with Kent. Not in the way you think. I wasn't going to key his car, or out him in front of his family, or show up at his house with a baseball bat. No, I wasn't interested in looking like the bitter, broken widower. I wanted to make sure he never forgot me. I just needed to wait for the right moment. And eventually, it came. You see, Kent may be slick, but he's also predictable. The man likes status. He likes reputation. He likes admiration. He especially loves awards. The architecture firm had a long-standing nomination they pursued every year for a regional civic design award, something prestigious enough to get a spread in the Virginia Architects Journal and usually leveraged for new contracts. That year, the project submitted under Kent's name was actually my final design before I was pushed out. A municipal library renovation. I poured everything I had into that design. It was personal, inspired by the library Marla used to volunteer at during college, with cozy reading alcoves and community gathering spaces. They slapped Kent's name on it after I left. And they won. I found out through a former client who emailed me congratulations, assuming I was still at Barton and Lowell. My name wasn't mentioned once in the official release. That was my breaking point, but also my window. Because in that email, the client mentioned an upcoming gala in Richmond, where Kent would be receiving the award in person. Black tie, press, industry peers, big event. I RSVP'd, not as Alan the ex-employee, but as Alan Byrne, sole designer and creative lead of the award-winning library. I'd worked on it alone for 6 months. I had the drafts, the sketches, the CAD files. I even had the original concept board, with my name scrawled in the bottom corner. A few calls to the event coordinators, and I was on the guest list. Apparently, no one ever really double-checks when you speak confidently and name-drop a few city officials. I rented a proper tux, polished my shoes, and showed up at the ballroom early. I wasn't there to cause a scene. I was there to exist, visibly. When Ken arrived with a younger woman on his arm, not surprising, I caught his eye across the room. He froze. I smiled, raised my glass, and turned back to the man I was speaking to, a well-known architect from DC, who had been asking me about my inspiration behind the communal layout. Turns out, I was a bit of a curiosity at the event. The designer who disappeared. I let people draw their own conclusions. I never said Kent stole the project. I never said I was forced out. I didn't need to. Because the truth has a funny way of making its way through a room without shouting. All I had to do was stand there, answering questions thoughtfully, thanking them for the compliments, and leaving just enough ambiguity to let their imaginations do the rest. By the end of the night, Kent was visibly unraveling. He didn't come near me. Not once. Not even during the group photo. A week later, I got a call from a journalist writing a feature on the winning design. She wanted to clarify the collaborative history between me and Kent. I simply told the truth, politely, professionally. No bitterness. No accusations. Just facts. The article came out a month later. The headline? Ghost Architect. The man behind the award Barton and Lowell tried to forget. It wasn't a hit piece. It didn't need to be. It was factual, respectful, and quietly damning. The kind of article that makes clients second-guess your integrity and makes industry peers whisper when your name comes up. 2 months after that, I received an email from a major firm in Alexandria. They offered me a consulting role, said they liked my thoughtful community-centered design approach, and were interested in partnering on a series of rural library revitalizations. I took it. I didn't need to go back to Barton and Lowell. I didn't need Kent to apologize. He lost something more important than my forgiveness. He lost his clean image. As for the house, I let it go. But before I did, I made one final visit. I stood across the street, watched the new owners, a young couple with a toddler, setting up string lights on the porch. They looked happy, real, like people who didn't keep secrets in their pockets. I never spoke to them, never went near, but I left something in their mailbox. A photo of the house in its early days, with Marla on the porch, smiling, holding that damn fern. On the back, I wrote, "This house once held great love. May it again." Then I walked away. I don't make 2 cups of coffee anymore, but I still drink mine at the same time each morning. I still sit by the window. I still write in my journal when the ache gets too loud. But I don't ache for Marla anymore. I ache for the man I used to be. And little by little, I'm learning to love him again.